Hi, Cassie.
Hi, Caitlin.
This is Pacific Northwest Haunts and Homicides.
Yes, it is. Wait, I have a question for you.
Ooh, tell me.
In our very
Or
first
ask me.
episode, I hope this doesn't throw you off. In our very first episode, you were like, I'm not going to say Pacific Northwest every goddamn time. And then you do it.
I know, I do. Well, I guess what I really was saying is that, like, we want to be able to abbreviate it for whenever I want to.
She can do whatever the fuck she wants. I was just thought I would point it out because I thought it was really funny.
You're literally a liar.
So no one email us about it because she knows. Okay.
Yeah. We're just going to give those emails to a bot. Have them reply to you.
We can have Thing reply.
Oh, Thing is here today.
Yeah, I brought my Thing. He can't talk because he's just a hand.
I mean, yeah. I was going to say, to be clear, we should probably clarify that it's like a model of Thing
It
from
is.
the Addams Family.
Which episode did we talk about that in? Was it the last one?
I think so. Yeah, it was your last spoopy one, I
don't
think.
remember. But yeah, we talked about my 3D printed Thing hand, and I thought I would bring him along today to listen.
We needed another special guest.
Yeah, we did.
It felt like it was time.
He'll be making commentary the entire time. He's doing sign language.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so I know you did a workout class this morning, and you kind of beat up your body, and now I'm here to brutalize your brain.
No, 2 beatings in one day.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be a rough one. I'm not gonna lie. And not just because it's a 2-parter.
It's a 2-parter.
Yeah.
We got 2 parts.
2 of the parts that make the whole story. So, yeah, this is just going to break all of your tiny, creepy hearts. So,
Get ready, guys.
get ready for that.
Get ready, creeples. It's coming.
Yeah. I done brought it. So, just please brace yourselves and try not to hate me for it, I guess. I mean, you knew what you signed up for, I
know.
feel like.
You're
so.
listening to a true crime podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
I mean, lest we forget. So, I just really think it's such an important case, and I'm actually really excited to share it. But I've got a lot of stuff coming up on the docket that's going to be a tough listen. Kind of in the same vein where it's a meaningful story. It's really worth it, but you know, they're important stories that I feel like need to be told, but they are going to be rough.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll try to break it up with some lighter paranormal things. I won't, because the last one was kind of heavy as well, even though it was a paranormal. So
I know, that was kind of crazy.
It was a little heavy. So I'll try to lighten it up for y'all.
All right.
After this.
Dealio. So this week we're going to start talking about the Doodler.
Doodler.
Yeah. So let's be real,
Do
though.
I want to know?
Okay, here's my thing is this not the worst nickname for a serial killer ever?
It doesn't sound, it sounds fun. Like he's a
I know,
5-year-old.
Yeah, it's
doodling.
a little misleading.
Oh, God.
It's a little misleading. Normally they're like these creepy, like, Night Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
You know? This guy is definitely equally as fucked up, but it just, the nickname is a little misleading.
They gave him a fun, bouncy nickname.
Yeah, it's rough.
just doodling.
Just doodling. So in the 70s in San Francisco, he was one of the most prolific serial killers of gay men. I mean, really in the history of the United States, probably. So he was just out roaming the streets, just being a real dick.
They're always dicks.
They're always dicks. He watched his victims in gay bars or discos around various neighborhoods of the city, like the Tenderloin.
The Tenderloin.
Yeah, that's a name of like a little area in San Francisco.
I fucking love that. I want to go there.
Isn't that cute? Apparently it's a little bit sketchy.
Oh.
It has been for literally decades,
But it
apparently.
sounds so fun.
I know,
the
it sounds
Tenderloin.
fun. Sounds delicious.
All right, well, I'm obviously, what's that word? ignorant.
Oh, yeah. I would say I don't feel like ignorant, naive. You're
I'm
like
a little
"Ooh,
ignorant and naive
yeah."
about these things, you guys.
The tenderloin. It sounds delicious. It sounds welcoming. It's very misleading.
It is. There's a lot of misleading things so far.
I know. Yeah,
Great.
really.
So he was creeping around.
Yeah, so he's just like creeping around all these neighborhoods in the city, and yeah, not in a good way. So he would sketch these, men that he was watching, and most of them were unaware until he would reveal his sketch, and he used that as like a come on.
See, I've seen like a video of that where some guy was drawing a girl on the subway or something and then handed it to her.
How creepy.
And she was like so touched, and I was like,
yeah.
I don't know about that one.
No, I don't care for that. But, okay, so here's my thing. Let's be real. We all have at least one friend this would work on, right? Gay, straight, or otherwise. Vanity knows no gender nor sexual preference.
Yeah, I know who that would work on. Just kidding.
Wow. Cassie is giving me some vicious side eye right now. It would not work on me. That would totally make the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
No, yeah, that's weird.
But I get, like, in a way, how maybe that could kind of seem flattering.
Yeah.
But not for me.
Not with this guy, apparently.
No, don't fall for it. So, the Doodler, I learned so much from researching this case. And, I started to tell you, basically, I've got some really, really rough stuff coming up on the docket. And some of what I want to talk about is things that I kind of connected to through researching this case.
Ooh.
So I am both excited to share with you whilst also simultaneously horrified. And, you'll see why. So
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So I just feel like in this case, it's really important to me that we focus on the victims as much as possible for a lot of reasons. I feel their stories deserve to be told. And I mean, that's true of any victim, but especially when the murders were happening, I don't think that they received nearly the attention that they deserved. I know you're shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the serial killer get all of the attention?
This whole series of events, this case really didn't get as much attention at all.
Oh, it didn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so part of what I'm going to kind of give you as far as background is sort of why that maybe was the case.
Okay.
So, and one of the other reasons that I'm not going to reveal just yet, because it's honestly kind of a huge bombshell. So just put on your little detective hat.
Okay.
And
I got my magnifying glass.
yeah, Sherlocking it. So yeah, I mean, I won't keep you waiting for too long because nothing makes me more excited than watching someone open a gorgeous gift. Yep, hand wrapped it myself.
Question.
Yeah.
Is this bombshell coming this episode, or is it going to be in the second part?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. Yeah, no, I'm going to tell you in like the next couple minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't have to wait too long. Okay.
Yeah. She's like, I can't stand the suspense. You're killing me already. So this case didn't really make headlines all that much, even in San Francisco with like the local papers, which is mind-boggling to me. It's honestly, it's shocking, but we're going to get into it. Okay. Basically what happened was at this time in California, other killers were, grabbing the headlines. So we have the Zebra murders and the Zodiac active right around this same time in the area.
Zodiac's huge. I don't know the other one.
Yes. So that's one that is really interesting. The case itself is just really interesting, and I think we're going to talk about it.
Ooh, yay! Because I don't know that one. I've never heard of it, ever.
So, like I said, some of these other cases may end up getting some coverage in our pod down the line, and because they're wicked wild.
Yeah. I would love to do Zodiac.
I mean,
you're going to do it. I'm just going to listen to it, but I want you to do it.
I feel like it is one where it's been a little bit like done to death, but I do think There are some interesting new developments that probably everybody's heard about, but I would love to talk about some of what's going on. Okay.
I haven't heard
We're gonna
a lot
fill
about the
Cassie
Zodiac.
in.
I didn't even watch the movie.
Cassie.
I know.
Cassie. Cassie.
I was just waiting for you so that you could tell me
Yeah.
all of the
You're
details.
like, can you just do the case research and just, tie it up with a nice pretty bow? So, the other thing that's a little bit difficult about this case, and part of why a lot of people have never really heard anything about it, is it's kind of generally believed that police didn't, on the whole, care a ton about these victims at the time, because misogyny, homophobia, yeah, I know.
I have a lot of things I want to say right now, but I'm just gonna.
Yeah,
not.
I mean, it's a tough one because not knowing how some of this plays out, you're like, ooh, I don't want to be too quick to judge.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some problems. There's some problematic elements in pieces of this story for sure.
I'm nodding. I know you guys can't see, but I keep nodding at things that she's saying.
Cassie is in agreement. So I'm not going to get into the details of the other cases to explain how or why exactly that they drew more media attention. I do think that a lot of it had to do with the fact that these particular victims, as opposed to some of the other crimes, they were just less likely to be, quote, sympathetic victims.
Which is fucked.
Yeah, it's super fucked. And it obviously that's not super chill, guys. Not super chill. But it's a thing that happened. So so I'm gonna try to stay focused. It's not working very well so far, but
I think you're super focused.
Yeah. I just don't want the case to become like 4 or 5 hours long, and it very easily could.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Well, it'll be a 4-parter. It'll be fine.
Oh my gosh. We cannot handle a 4-parter. So, I mean, aside from just wanting to like kind of stay on track and all of that, I have some selfish, shellfish type reasons. I love anytime I can insert that super duper dad joke, I will.
We're a big fan of dad jokes around here.
We really are. So, but for those selfish reasons, I really want to cover some of these other cases. So we're not gonna go there. So back on track.
Back on the track.
Get it together.
Come on.
So like I said, this case didn't really make a ton of headlines, even in San Francisco at the time, but it's wild. It really would have made for some sensational reading, even at the time. This story literally takes us all over the world if you really look at all of the different people that are involved. And here's our bombshell, guys.
Bombshell.
Wildly, the killer is believed to still be alive.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
They never caught him?
No, he's never been caught.
Oh my god.
Yeah. What
are you putting us in danger right now?
We don't live in San Francisco and we are not gay men, but I guess he could come after us for other reasons.
Oh,
so, I don't know. They do think that it's possible that the killer is still alive. If you ask me, I hope so. Let's put this geriatric monster behind bars already. Better late than never.
Yeah, I know, right? How old would he be now?
Pretty old. They wouldn't be able to give an exact age because they, there are suspects, there are persons of interest, but they don't know for sure. So,
okay.
I just say let's get him though. I mean, 90, you're not too old to still serve some time.
No.
So, we can debate other aspects of torture. I mean, punishment later. So I just think it'd be great if we can get this person. So all that said, I'm going to get into the meat of the case and just a little blurb here if anything kind of rings a bell or somebody that was alive during this time and living in the area. There are resources. We'll probably go ahead and link in the show notes.
Yeah.
So that you can, reach out to local law enforcement or the various resources that are available if you know something. So,
that would be amazing.
I know.
If someone knew something.
Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
I would be really excited.
Yeah, that would be great. That's like the goal, right, of every podcast is to solve a fucking murder,
crime.
Right?
Podcast gold. Okay, so I'm going to give you quite a bit of background. I mean, as much as I reasonably can on each of the victims. Obviously, because this person has never been caught, we do have some information about the persons of interest and the previous suspects. I just think that, you know, whenever we can, it's definitely more valuable for us to be able to share and, like, kind of profile the victims rather than the killer. So this was a really great case for me to be able to share some really cool stories about the people that, I mean, tragically were taken in really, really awful ways.
Are you gonna break my heart?
I'm gonna break your tiny creepy heart.
Okay.
So, all right, just take a deep breath. You ready?
Wait, let me take a glass of wine real quick. Let me take a sip of wine real quick. I need it.
I mean, we have more wine, so it's, you know, you can always.
Let me just take a bottle of wine real quick.
Okay. So, the first victim was found parallel to Great Highway at Ocean Beach in 1974. His name was Gerald Kavanaugh. He was found in the dark on his back. He was actually a Canadian immigrant. He was middle-aged, well, 50 to be exact, which for a man I think makes him slightly past middle age. Like, sorry, but I think that's just the case. So anyway, I digress. He was covered in blood and had been stabbed pretty viciously. He had no ID, but he was wearing a Timex watch and had a defensive wound on his hand. Yeah. I told you it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
So he was fighting it?
Yeah, so he did put up something of a fight. At the time, cops believed that 2 knives had been used, but suspected that it was a random killing. And I couldn't necessarily find anything that specifically said why they believed that 2 knives were used. I would imagine that maybe just there were different types of wounds and they were able to kind of suss out that maybe 2 different knives were used. And in some cases that might lead the investigators to believe that, okay, there's 2 different knives being used. Maybe it was like 2 people that just got into a random knife fight with this guy.
Yeah. Which,
okay, he doesn't have a knife though, so that's not really a knife fight. That's just a brutal mugging.
That's an attacking.
Yeah.
So either it was 2 people or one person like double fisting it with the knife.
Exactly. Yeah, like just Edward Scissorhands over here.
God.
Yeah, so that's pretty rough. An interesting part of this story, and probably where we start kind of going down this path of not valuing the victims, not pursuing these cases, or not thinking that they're important enough to really look into, is bathrooms in this area at the time were often considered a cruising spot. So I don't know how familiar people are with some of the terminology. I'm not going to go like crazy into it because some things I think you can pick up from context, but a cruising spot is something, they basically refer to that as a place where people will go to meet for sex.
Oh, yeah. Like a hookup spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like a lover's lane, but like a worse name for it.
And it was a bathroom, so they had some glory holes.
I just feel like there had to be something that made them think that this was a cruising spot. I don't know. It's tough to know. You know, the 70s were pretty wild.
Yeah.
Finding information on some of these cases is really difficult unless you're just an investigative journalist or, you know, you have a connection with law enforcement. So, that particular spot, though, these bathrooms, they were in an area where the crashing waves would actually shield any passersby from the noise if you were attacking someone. So it was definitely selected very intentionally.
Wow.
After this first victim was found, a recording was released from the call that was received reporting the body on the beach. It's a very interesting listen. The caller declined to provide their name and was never found to question further.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so what's interesting about that, to me, most especially, and I have heard a section of that audio, is that, you know, they say it's possible that this was the killer, but of course that remains unconfirmed. So it's kind of chilling knowing this might be the killer, and you listen to this 911 call, and they're very calm, very collected. It's a little creepy.
You wouldn't, you wouldn't think you would be calm if you had just seen a dead body.
Right. And I could understand why, if perhaps the person that placed the call, maybe that was, you know, another gay man himself. And it was very common that, you know, people living in the area, in that community, especially if they, you know, were a part of the queer community, they did not want to be involved with law enforcement.
Yeah.
You're going to find that's a very common theme. There's a lot of people that were just not interested in providing testimony. They were not interested in being questioned by the police. And I don't think that it's coming from a place where they didn't want to help. I think that there's a lot of fear around what sort of, you know, retribution they might face, what sort of consequences.
They probably didn't want to end up as a suspect, and you know.
Right. And you know, a lot of people were not living out loud and proud about, you know, their sexual preference. So that would be a tough thing to feel like there's a chance that maybe being involved in this investigation would end up outing you.
Yeah, that would not be.
That's a tough spot to be in. Then 2 days later, in 1974, after the first victim was killed, the Zodiac killer mailed a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle. The letter is, to call it a letter is kind of a little bit of an overstatement. All it said was, me 37, SFPD 0.
Okay.
So he's basically claiming credit for, you know, a bunch of his murders. The same day, the zebra killings began. And that was a 5-victim spree on that day. So the random killings that were happening at this time were obviously terrifying locals. It had streets basically nearly empty for a time.
Wow.
So pretty wild. I mean, you can see how logistically, with that many active killers, that it would be very difficult. Your resources are spread pretty thin.
Yeah.
And I think in this case, unfortunately, regardless of what resources were available, they prioritized the, you know, straight white victims.
Oh, of course they did.
Yeah.
Of course they did. Can you even imagine today, like, having 3 serial killers around, like, in the same area, all at the they were all in the same area, right?
Yeah.
All at the same time?
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine that.
It's pretty wild. I mean, they didn't necessarily have overlap where you're finding victims in the exact same neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know, the Tenderloin versus where the Zodiac or the zebra murders were occurring, you know, kind of different areas. But yeah, there's a lot of active killings going on. And so, yeah, I mean, that would be really scary.
That would be nuts. Like, I know there's killings now, like, we hear about murders and stuff all the time, but
of course. Yeah.
I don't hear about, like, serial killers very often anymore. Do you?
I think it's been a while.
Sheltered?
No, I think it's been a while since we've had somebody that was really new and kind of brought to light and that you were hearing about in the news.
Yeah.
There's another recent one. I'm not even going to say who, because I'm going to stop giving away all my secrets and telling you guys what's coming next.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So there are some more recent ones that definitely I'd like to get into. So
okay,
I'll get you up to date. It's fine.
Just scare the crap out of me. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Hey, you do it to me every other time.
That's true.
So, okay, so Spreckles Lake is where the next victim was found. And this actually was in June of 1974, about 5 months later. This victim was mid to late 20s. His pockets were empty, and he had been stabbed several times. His name was Joseph Stevens. He was also known as Jay. He spelled it Jae. And you can probably see, like, my face is lighting up because he is definitely one of the people that you were able to find a lot of information about his life and who he was, because he was kind of a performer. So there's definitely more information about him, and it just seems like, I'm like, we would totally have hung out. So he was a rising star in the drag scene, and he had grown up in the Bay Area. Jay was friends with another drag star that went by Charles, who was a ridiculously funny comedian. I actually found clips of his friend Charles that I just loved.
Oh my gosh, you'll have to show me.
Yeah, and so this is, at this point, I really want to just briefly touch on that I am going to refer to most of these victims as he. Most of them did identify as men, even though they were, drag performers.
Okay.
Just to clarify, I don't want anybody to think that I'm, maybe misgendering them.
Okay.
At this time in history, it wasn't something where commonly we were seeing men referring to, or, biological men at least, referring to themselves as she. It just wasn't really a practice at that point. I feel like Jay, he could have popularized it, though.
Yeah.
Such a gem.
That's too
Such
bad.
a fucking gem. His friend Charles has since passed away. But I did
together.
I know. But I did actually hear an interview with Charles's assistant from the time. So we literally it's really cool to read and listen to a lot of these things where you're like, okay, so this person knew this person. You're connecting the dots. I felt like I needed a cork board with red string.
Yeah, the red string. I'm gonna get you that for your birthday.
Know, right? So the assistant had described him as a really beautiful boy.
Aww.
And I quote, seriously, be still my heart, a really good stand-up comic in a dress.
Oh.
It's just too precious for words, honestly. So apparently, even though he was a laugh riot, Jay wasn't much of a drinker. So, which I cannot personally relate to.
Yeah, me neither.
But
good for you. Good for you.
So, there's a reason, at least, why that was the case for not just Jay, but actually for a good segment of the population at this time in their neighborhood. So, as a gay man, he faced the very real possibility of violence with the prevalence of gay bashing, even in some of the areas that the queer community had tried to carve out as safe spaces. Yeah. Some friends and journalists have basically speculated that he preferred to just keep his wits about him.
Yeah, that's
I don't know
smart.
that it's ever something that he specifically vocalized, no, I don't drink, I just, don't like to be, uninhibited, but
you've always got to be on high alert.
Yeah. I think, it's very akin to
but...
kind of the feeling that a lot of women have.
Well, yeah, we can definitely relate.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was definitely, to hear that piece of it was a little bit oh, man. I'm like, Jay, come on, let's have a cocktail. Let's have a drink. We'll just stay in. Watch
maybe
movies.
If you both were in your safe space together, we could have hung out. And
I love him. Aww. So, I also want to shout out a book that was co-authored by Jim Van Berskik. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a tough one. It's called Gay by the Bay.
Oh,
fresh. And it's a history of gay culture in the San Francisco area. and it's officially added to my reading list. The whole
I wanna
thing,
read it
because
too.
I can't just settle for like segments of it. So he tells us about a number of problematic laws and policies at the time. So for example, laws like basically to do with clothing. So like there was a law that basically stated you had to have 3 items of gender appropriate clothing.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm serious. Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding
Yeah.
me?
I wish I was. So this virtually outlawed cross-dressing, and honestly, as it stood at the time, homosexual couples could be prosecuted for their relationships if they were discovered.
Oh my god.
So again, it
that's so
kind of
fucked.
ties back to where you see some of these witnesses and people that, you know, didn't want to get involved because they don't want
Yeah.
to be outed. They don't want to be associated with this, and, you know,
Jeez.
yeah. It's
Did
scary.
they do that to women too? If women wore like pants and a men's shirt?
You know, I don't know that that was something that they were really actively monitoring. So again, it's like
God.
they're very clearly targeting
Yeah.
a specific segment of the population. I mean, as if there were any doubt.
Assholes.
Yeah, real McAssholes. So, I mean, that was just the kind of harassment, though, that, you know, the individuals that lived in these communities faced. So, this is another, it's not going to get better. I'm going to tell you more.
Okay.
So, gayola was a practice where law enforcement specifically targeted businesses that catered to the community. Much like they would a criminal enterprise. So basically made them targets for extortion.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Oh.
So it was a pretty well-known practice in the 50s and 60s. And while there had been a real push to kind of eradicate that as a behavior and as a culture in law enforcement by the 70s, it was far from being a distant memory for most of these people. You know, they still remembered basically being victimized, even as business owners, by the law enforcement that was supposed to be there to protect them.
So the police department had a whole section of people targeting the gay community?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
So it was, I wouldn't say it wasn't like a special department.
Okay.
But it was basically just it was a practice.
Okay.
It was, you know, it was part of the boys club.
Mm.
So the flip side of this, because I'm going to try to reel you back in, bring you something nice and shiny.
Okay.
The flip side of this, hate, because I don't think there's any other way to describe that, to be honest. It was just how much love there was within the community. So one of the things that happened to kind of combat some of the like gay bashing and other violence that was occurring in the community was the Butterfly Brigade.
Oh, I love that. I don't know what it is yet, but it sounds just delightful.
It's as awesome as it sounds, too.
Oh.
So, the Butterfly Brigade was established to help try to stem the tide of violence against the queer community at the time. And it was basically the coolest meeting of pride vibes and neighborhood watch that I'm aware of in human history.
I want to go.
Yeah, so they basically set up shifts where people would watch what's happening on the streets. It was very
Wow.
common for like even teenage kids to be driving around and like calling people names or like threatening them. They would write down the license plate numbers and they would write letters to the police, or like they'd document it. If they were somebody who was like underage, they would write a letter to those kids' parents.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know.
I love that.
I really love it. So what's really cool about this too is before he was killed, Harvey Milk actually signed up for the shifts to help keep the community safe, and it just warms my tiny creepy heart.
Aww.
Just part of what I learned through my research. So I mean, there's a lot that the community was doing to try to help protect each other.
Yeah.
So it's like literally
That's all they had was each other. Like,
yeah, and it's literally the only bright spot in this
Aw.
case. Is like these little glimpses of just this amazing community. So, I'm going to just be a little self-indulgent here, and I want to tell you a little bit more about my new friend, Jay.
We love our new friend, Jay.
He's our bestie. In early 1974, Jay began performing at a club called Pinocchio's.
Ooh, I like that.
It's cute, right? Yeah. So it was quite literally an internationally known destination in San Francisco for tourists and celebrities. Hold the phone. It is actually reported that Marilyn was known to visit the club to see herself impersonated.
Oh my God, she would. That is so Marilyn.
I know. Hello. She's
love
like this
her.
amazing angel on earth who just lived and loved too hard and left us too soon.
She was murdered. Just FYI.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put that right out there.
She's like,
she was 100% murdered.
Cassie just slid that onto the counter in the general direction of the audience.
Oh my God.
I'm just gonna leave that here. Okay.
That's so awesome. Like, can you imagine just going to a club and just watching
seeing
yourself?
somebody impersonate you? I can't imagine it. Please, someone make this happen.
Someone impersonate
I would love
Caitlin.
that.
Let's go.
That would be so cool. So, I'm just going straight Cassie style with this case.
Okay.
And I'm getting into the weeds like a true background whore.
I love it. I love background.
So, as I write this, basically all of my notes, I was thinking it must be the first case that I will likely turn into a two-parter. And I'm looking at the clock now, and I'm feeling pretty confident. It looks like a two-parter, my friends.
Yeah. Are you still on your first page?
No, this is page 2.
Oh, okay.
Not very far into page 2, guys. Not very far.
Okay.
So, it's a case that most of us haven't heard about. And even in the true crime community, it blew me away.
I haven't. Yeah.
So, this case grabbed my interest and also my keys. And took off running. So I literally could not stop researching this. I just fangirling a little bit over Jay. Here he is again. 4 a.m. on July 7th of 1974, it was just 10 days after Jay was murdered, the Doodler's third victim was discovered by a woman walking the beach with her dog.
Damn, 10 days.
I know. So he's really escalating.
Yeah.
And this is so sad. This poor woman, she was a survivor of Auschwitz.
No, she wasn't.
Seriously.
And she had to find a dead body. Oh my God.
Yeah. So this third killing, unfortunately for this poor woman, was especially brutal. The victim had been stabbed 15 times, and his throat was slit 3 times.
3 times?
Why? Overkill.
Holy shit.
So the victim had been found with a makeup vial in his pocket, and it was assumed, quote, that he had homosexual propensities.
Because he had a makeup?
Because he had makeup.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if I ask Chris to hold on to a tube of lipstick for me, I just hope that's not problematic.
Right?
I was like, come on. Like, really? That's all you're basing this on?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. A little bit of tunnel vision there, but okay.
Okay.
So, the San Francisco Sentinel then reported on this case, warning the queer community and asking them to help law enforcement however they could.
They're asking for help now. Okay.
Yeah. It's a tough one because you're like, okay, there's already 3 men that have died in these horrific ways, and now we're going to start giving it some coverage, and we're going to try to get, information to law enforcement. It feels like a little, too little, too late.
Yeah.
But it was something.
Yeah, it's something, but...
So... Shortly after the article was published, the Doodler's third victim was identified as Klaus Christman.
Klaus? I fucking love that name.
I know, isn't it cute?
Klaus.
He was a 31-year-old tourist from Germany. So I think, I wasn't going to say anything right away, but what you're going to see is it seems like there's a pattern of people that are even if they are visiting or if they have lived here for a certain amount of time, there's like a pattern of like foreign people being attacked. It is very interesting. We're gonna get to it.
Okay. Get to it.
Yeah. So he was married and had 2 children back in Germany.
Oh, stop.
Earlier in the evening, the victim had been seen at a gay bar on Polk Street. Not much is known about the circumstances surrounding his initial disappearance and eventual murder, obviously. But apparently both of his stateside roommates, they were a married couple, had died at the time of, like, when a lot of this was kind of getting some coverage again.
Oh, okay. So they died after he was murdered?
They did. Okay. Yeah, I mean, not immediately after, but I guess what I'm trying to say here is they would have been reached out to for additional questioning in, spoiler alert, kind of some more recent efforts, but they have already passed.
Okay.
So yeah, spoiler, that's why there's a part 2.
Oh.
Spoiler.
New info.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I know. I'm really excited. So
I'm not going to wait. I'm going to make you tell me now.
Cassie's like, I'm just going to read your notes. Even with a third victim, it just seemed like this case was at a standstill. The zebra killings, among other high-profile cases, were really drawing investigators' resources and attention. I'm not going to get too far down this path, but the zebra murders left 15 people dead and 8 wounded. Ooh. So it was weird, real weird. Blah, 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 blah. It was wild times in the Bay Area, you guys. I mean, honestly, and we already kind of touched on this, but like, how can you even chase this many killers? I mean, and serial killers in a single jurisdiction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't know that there's another time in history, another place where something like this has happened. It's crazy. It's truly wild. Yeah. So again, I mean, I do think it's really shit that we don't hear a ton about, this case before it gets to this level. But I do also have a little bit of understanding for like why that's the case.
Yeah.
So we're not quite done yet. There is more. Frederick Cappen's body was found in the dunes of Ocean Beach, not far from where Kavanaugh's body had been discovered. He had been stabbed 16 times. Ugh. Which is a lot of times.
What's with all the stabbing?
It feels very unnecessary, to be honest. So this was another rage killing, and the 4th victim was identified pretty quickly because his prints were actually in the system. Oh. So, I mean, we'd seen with some of the victims that their ID had been taken or, for whatever reason, it was a little bit slower identifying them. But he was a registered nurse at a local hospital.
Oh, of course he was.
Yeah.
Angel.
Seriously, fuck this guy. So, the police believed that his body had been moved several yards from one spot to another on the beach based on the coroner's report, which is kind of weird. I mean, we didn't see that with the other victims where it was apparent that they had been moved.
Was it close to the water? Like, did the water... I guess the water would, like, take him out.
Yeah, it's a little bit unclear. So the significance of that is, I mean, to me, I'm like... It's interesting that they were moved, but I don't know that really has a huge bearing on the case. I don't know if that's... It's hard to know what the significance of that is.
Could have been someone, like, trying to, like, wake him up or something and realized he was dead and,
and then they're like,
the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I am a Caitlin-shaped hole in the wall. Goodbye. So this is kind of an unusual departure, though, from the killer's typical process, which... I mean, if anything, it may just indicate that this crime did not go down like he expected. Maybe with this fourth victim, he was getting a little bit cocky. I mean, I don't know. I mean, go figure. Maybe this guy just gave him a run for his money. I mean, good on you, Frederick. I mean, somebody. I mean, it's just, it's rough. There's a lot of parts of this case where I just feel like you just start to, I get almost like nonverbal, where it's like you're just internalizing and you just feel like stressed, and there's pieces of it that you're just like, ugh. And you just literally don't feel like you even have the right words to describe what you're feeling or what you're thinking about what you're reading and what's happened. It's frustrating. This case is really frustrating. So,
for sure.
So there's one more really big part of the original story. And I'm going to say the OG story because we kind of alluded to this earlier in the ep, but there's some recent developments, and that's going to be a big part of episode 2 with this case. I'm also going to give you some background that I couldn't really get into the meat of it and talk about. This would just be like the longest episode ever, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about 2 of the detectives on this case that really, like, they're another one of those like small pieces where it's like I'm going to bring you really far down and then I'm going to bring you a little bit back up, all in the same piece with these 2 guys.
Okay.
I'm just mentally preparing everyone in the room and listening. So
who are these guys?
Yeah, so I know, sorry. I know it feels like I'm like holding out on you, but that's just the way it goes. I make the rules. It's my episode.
Okay, if I want
to. You know, you'll cry if I want you to.
That's true.
So, for those of you that might have been keeping count, the Doodler has one more known victim. Because we just talked about number 4. The Doodler's 5th and final victim that has at least officially been documented at this time was found in Lincoln Park approximately 2 weeks after his death. So, unfortunately, what we're seeing in the case of, his name was Harold Goldberg, there was quite a bit of decomposition that had taken place when they found his body.
2 weeks in a park.
Yeah, that's not ideal. From a forensic standpoint, from really every position, not great. So at 66, he was slightly older than the other Doodler victims.
Wow.
So I think what we're seeing in this case is there are some definite, like, there are some things that, like, we see recurring, but then we also see some things where there are, like, these sort of odd departures. So it's definitely an interesting case from the standpoint of, like, with the killer, you're seeing where there's slight deviations in the MO, perhaps. So basically, you know, I indicated that's kind of a departure from his typical process. So Harold Goldberg, he was a Swedish-American immigrant. So again, you know, I told you we're seeing this pattern of, it seems like these are people that, I mean, maybe they're not familiar with the area, or at least in one respect or another, they are foreign to the area where they're currently residing, where they're currently visiting. It's an interesting aspect of the case. I'm not sure exactly, like, how that necessarily... It's interesting.
Yeah, did he chat them up first before he killed them?
It's like what made them stick out.
Yeah.
Maybe their accent. I mean, there's definitely a lot to explore there. Until we actually have the Doodler caught, arrested, in custody, and he could maybe be questioned, there's not a lot that we can say on that front. But it is an interesting thing. I feel like it's worth making a note.
Yeah.
So... aside from being a bit older than the other victims, like I said, there was something that was a little bit odd or maybe slightly inconsistent with the other cases. His underwear had been taken by the killer, and his pants were left unzipped.
So
it's kind of odd.
How do we know he had underwear?
Well, I wondered that too.
Okay.
I'm thinking, like,
Sorry.
well, how do we know that he just doesn't go commando? And that's a good question. I think maybe
free balling.
Yeah, going commando, free balling it. That lightens it up. I like that a little reprieve from this very, very dark case. I'm not sure. That is something that was reported, and it does seem like for whatever forensic reporting that they have, that seems like it's been substantiated, but I'm not sure what they're basing that on. So, you know, grain of salt. Definitely an interesting case so far.
It is.
This is where I make you very, very sad because there is a lot of new developments and a lot of background that we're going to circle back to, but not today.
Caitlin.
Cassie hates me right now in this moment. She's pretty upset. I'm not going to lie. We do have a lot more to talk about in this case. We're going to go through quite a few things that are very interesting. Some of these pieces I'm really just going to briefly touch on. There's a lot of things where it's like, ooh, that's interesting. What about this? What about that? We have a lot more questions than we do answers. We're going to find that a lot with this case. And
Great.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating, but definitely it's like it's getting people interested, and it makes me hopeful that, you know, maybe there's still a possibility to catch this person.
Yeah.
And maybe they've passed. Maybe they're no longer with us, which, okay, fine. That's bye.
I know, right?
Bye, Felicia.
Either way, it would be cool if it was
but just to
known.
have that closure.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that, you know, loved someone that was lost because of this individual, the Doodler, whoever the fuck that guy is.
The Doodoodler.
The doodoo. I know. I think should it be the doodoo?
Doodooler.
Doodoodler. I just think for a lot of people, it means something to be able to finally say, we know what happened. And you might know what happened to your loved one, but to just be able to say, like, this is done. I can put this on a shelf. I can finally feel like I'm at peace with this. I can't say how I would feel. I don't know that would give me anything in terms of closure, but I think for a lot of people, that's a really important piece of
just to know who did it, hold them accountable. God,
absolutely,
hold them accountable whether they're, you know,
whether they're alive or not, but just to know.
Yeah,
I think it's the not knowing for a lot of people.
The knowing.
Yeah. So we're gonna end it here. We're going to pick it right back up real quickly.
Next week.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through a lot more information on the case. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
There's definitely some real like lightning rod shit that's coming up still. I know it feels like we've talked about everything about the case, but we haven't. We fucking haven't. So.
Well, goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.
Have a creepy day. Oh.
Okay, 1, 2.
Are we doing ass or no ass?
I think don't half-ass anything. Always use your whole ass.
Full ass.
Full ass. Okay.
Have a creepy ass day.
The creepiest of days with all of the ass.
All of the ass.
So for all of you that are listening, if you have any true crime or paranormal stories that you want us to share, maybe with the whole Pacific Northwest.
Yes, we would love to read them on the pod.
Yeah, we will read them out loud. Email us at pnwhauntsandhomicides@gmail.com. It's all spelled out, no special characters, super duper easy peasy.
Also, if you would like to follow us on Facebook or Instagram, it is at PNW Haunts and Homicides, the same thing as the email. It's all spelled out, no special characters or anything.
Bitchin'. So we just did a quick playback because we had to take a little breaky pants break.
Yeah, I had to pee.
A break where we took off our pants.
We took off all of our pants. We might
I mean,
have drank more
I'm
wine.
sitting here, my pants are unbuttoned because, you know, it's the COVID-19.
My pants are buttoned in case anyone wanted to know.
Yeah. Cassie's over here like a lady. Meanwhile, I'm like your dad after Thanksgiving dinner. Like, ugh.
Asleep on the couch snoring with your pants unbuttoned.
That is such a Kaylin thing to do. Yeah. So we're listening to where we left off at to make sure that we pick up the story in the right place.
Yeah.
And Cassie's probably going to edit most of this out.
I probably will put it at the end.
It's funny, but we were listening to it where we left off at. And Cassie was like, ugh. And I'm like, yeah, you hate how your voice sounds. You hate everything you say. You think you're stupid. You think you're dumb.
Yeah.
I love Cassie. So it hurts my feelers when she says these things, you guys.
I'll try not to.